All right, guys, first off, as always, good day. All right. Now, this video, just like the last two, have been kind of delayed ones. I'm trying to catch up with all the videos. I do apologize, all right? So here is your warm-up picture. Now, if the packet you got from me does not have this picture as the warm-up, you clicked the wrong video, okay? So just go back and then find the other one. All right, so I try to name these after the image, okay? So here's your picture. First off, what do you see? Okay. Um, Now, in this warm up, I changed the second question from what do you think the author is trying to say to basically what's the irony of this picture? Okay. So basically, an irony is something like um, it's like a situation where you have something, right? And it's a total contradiction of another. So, like, it's like if you have like you win the lottery, right? You win the lottery, you're gonna get millions of dollars, and then you die the next day. That's irony. Okay, it's a comical type of thing. It makes doesn't it contradicts kind of one another. Okay, so in this picture, there is some irony on here, specifically what the bear says. Look at what it says, and look what it's telling it to. Okay, what's the irony in that? Okay, so again, first off, what do you see? Okay, Uh, what do these creatures represent? It's written on them. And what's the irony? The second question, what's the irony in this picture? Okay, so again, look at what's being said and look at what it's being said to. Okay, so pause the video and write down um, your stuff. Okay, and the notes are going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so at the beginning of the 19th century, Russia was mainly rural. So that picture back there is a great picture of a rural area. It's farmland. There's, nothing really to it. No big cities, no factories, no industry. It's just crops and, taking care of animals and things like that. Um, and the thing is, it was rural, agricultural, and it was autocratic, which means ruled by someone who controls everything, right? One person controls everything at all. Okay. Now the thing is, the the czar was seen as being given his power by divine right, uh, and basically has unlimited power. Now the thing is, divine right. You'll learn about this. You'll hear about it again your senior year when you talk about governments, things like that. Um, we talked about divine right in this class, but last semester, more towards the beginning of this class. So, for those of you guys who are new, you may not know what it means. For those of you guys who had me before, you may know what it means, but I'm going to tell you what it is anyway. It's basically divine right is that God gave you power. So, in this sense, it's the king, the emperor, that people believe that God gave this person their power, that they are related to God in some way, that God chose them. Excuse me, and that's why they have unlimited power. Because again, in a lot of faiths, basically all of them, God is not wrong. So if God chose this person to rule them, then he has a purpose. Or say he, she has a purpose. Again, I don't know if God's a guy or a girl, I don't know. Or it's an entity, right? So again, skipping off that. Um, but how can God be wrong? God can't be wrong. So this emperor who is chosen by God or related to God, they must know what they're doing and they must have a purpose for it. Okay, so that's the mentality of the people. Now, revolution was heating up in Russia. Okay, people were kind of getting a little upset, and they kind of thought, like, well, look at what France and America and Britain had done. Um, they changed things because the citizens revolted. The French Revolution, although it was very bloody, they showed the world that the rich, the elite, the upper class people, the king and all them, they're not all powerful. They can be hurt. They can be brought down. America, the American Revolution, that farmers, basic farmers, tradesmen, and things like that, and some soldiers, they can win a country against the biggest, baddest country in the world. Okay, so the thing is, the Tsar used soldiers and secret police to suppress the spread of revolution talks. Now, the secret police was interesting because basically they'd be like, you wouldn't know who a cop was, or even if there were cops, maybe it was just a rumor. And people were like, oh, I don't know this person really that well. I don't trust them. So they'll keep their mouth shut, things like that, because, they could be suspected of talking, saying stuff about the revolution. Okay. The thing is that also the loss in the Crimean War really, really hurt Russia. Okay, it hurt their pride because they're very prideful people. They're like, hey, we're tough, things like that. But the Crimean War loss set them back a step, just a bit. They got kind of got like a reality check in a sense. Okay. Now this guy right here, Alexander II, realized, like many Russian citizens, that Russia was falling behind the rest of the world. The rest of the world had gone through the Industrial Revolution. They used factories. They progressed. Their cities got big. They went away from the bunch of farm towns to large cities, large metropolis, things like that. So what he did was he realized, like, what is the biggest problem around here? And he found out that serfdom was really, really, really hurting the economy. And it basically affected everything, the social status of people and the political future of Russia. Okay. The thing is, serfdom is basically you're not a slave, but you're not free. You're somewhere in the middle, right? You don't really, you're not, again, not a slave, so you don't work for like free, but you're not free to the point where you get paid a good wage and things like that. You're like down here, lower part, because like I said, just basically above a slave. Now the thing is, March 3rd, 1861, Alexander issued emancipation on all serfdom. Now, emancipation, you'll hear this word again in your U.S. history class next year. Um, Emancipation means freedom. Okay, he set free all the serfs. Okay, so now these peasant people are like, oh, cool. So we don't have to work for this person like forever and get paid like crap, right? It's like, yeah. Now this meant that the peasants could now own property, and here's another good thing, they could legally marry anyone they wanted. Okay, whereas before there was a lot of like fixed marriages, arranged marriages. You marry this person, and that's it. You know, a lot of arranged marriages were set before the kids could even talk, you know, things like that. So now it's like you can marry anybody you want. Uh, the government also bought land from the landlords and gave it to the peasants. All right. So the thing is, people are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's so great. Alexander II, you're awesome. Well, things are going to happen if you've been paying attention to my class, things usually don't go well at first. Things seem like it's going great, and all of a sudden just reverts back to bad. This is no exception. All right, so here's the thing. I want to know this. What are your thoughts about arranged marriages? Okay, so remember, this is basically like a contract that you are going to marry someone else's kid. So if you're a girl, you're going to marry some other guy. If you're a guy, you're going to marry this girl. You've never seen them before, more than likely. You don't know how they look like this, that. You won't see them until you get married. But also, it's a legal agreement. So basically, if you don't marry them, the other people can basically take you to court, and in a sense, like nowadays, they could take your stuff because you broke a contract with this group. because you decided you didn't want to marry this person. Okay, so that's my question to you. How would you feel if you were found out that your parents made a legal agreement for you to marry somebody else? And if you don't, your family loses everything. So what would you do? Okay, there's a writing prompt on the bottom. Uh, Remember, use that, guys, because a lot of you guys are forgetting to use this, and so your sentences don't really make sense, and that's how you're losing your points. So please, please, please use those writing prompts. Okay, fill in the blank areas. Okay, so what would you do? What would you personally do if you were in an arranged marriage? Okay, so pause the video, answer this question, really think about it. Okay, the notes are going to start up again in 3, 2, 1. All right, so here's the thing. The new land system that we are talking about, it really didn't work out because remember I told you the landlords sold the Russian government some land that they owned. Now, the thing is, these landlords were very smart. They sold the government the worst lands they had. The land where the ground was bad, you couldn't grow anything on it. Um, it was just horrible conditions, things like that. They sold the government that land, and when the government gave it to the people, the peasants were like, "You can't do anything with this ground. It sucks. It's you can't. You might as well just give us a rock and told us to grow crops on that." You know, so things were getting bad for the peasants. Um, all in all, they ended up being worse off than they were before. Yeah, they're free, they're this and that, but things were worse off for them. And then Alexander realized he couldn't really like make everyone happy. You know, this is a life lesson, guys. You really can't make everyone happy. You could try to help some people, but if you truly want to help everyone, you can't. There's nothing you can really do to make every single person happy. Even if you gave everyone money, people are then going to want more, and then you give somebody more, then other people want more, things like that. So, okay, life lesson right there. Now, reformers, people who say, things need to change, they were like, well, he's changed stuff, but we need more change, you know, and faster, sooner. This thing with the serfdom, you freed the people. You should have did that years ago. You need to do more and more and more. And the people who are more conservative, who like the old style of things, they thought the Tsar was destroying Russia from the inside out. That their worst enemy was him, and he's destroying the country, the lifestyle they had, the way they like it, that he's destroying it. Okay. Now this uh, picture right here, the map, is basically a representation of the serfdom. So that number you see, the 36%, 36 to 65 or 55, and 55 and over, that's all the percentage of people who were serfs in those areas. Okay. All right. So then what happened was, remember I told you about Alexander II trying to make everyone happy, but he couldn't. Well, there was a group of radical people who basically assassinated him. They came in, they killed him. So his son, which is right there, Alexander III, took over. Now, most sons, they tend to like carry on what their father did, things like that. My dad died, and I'm gonna carry on his legacy and things like that. This guy, no. He was like, yeah, all the stuff my father did. Yeah, let's undo that. You know, let's undo all that crap kind of stuff. So the reforming went away. Serfdom basically came back. The people who landlord basically got their land back. Uh, Now there is one thing though that he did that was pretty unique and noteworthy. Is he started the construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway. Now it's on that picture on the bottom. Okay, remember this picture is Russia. Remember it's on top, so it's on near the top of the globe, so it curves. Okay, so that's why If you look at it, it starts to curve a little bit because this is a representation of the globe and how wide it is. Okay, so it goes from one way. It sees it goes red, red at a certain point. It splits in two, a red and a blue. Okay, this made it a lot easier to travel from one part of the country to the other. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have noticed, like some people noticed in class, that in the very top area of the map, there's the railway doesn't go up there. And that's because that area is full of ice. Because again, the North Pole is right there, right above, like where it says throughout, like right below that. That's the North Pole, right? So that top area is freezing. Okay, that's why nobody um, went up there. Really, you know, it's cold, 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 cold. Okay, now the railway it improved the communication and transportation throughout Russia. That was his reigning moment. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. Hopefully, you learned something new. Um, so make sure that your packet has your name on it. Please, please, please make sure your name is on the packet. Turn it into the basket as soon as you come in. Okay. Also, do not put this packet on my desk. A lot of you guys are starting to do that now. Don't do it. It will get lost. Okay. I have a lot of paperwork there, and that's for me to get things situated. Okay. So don't put your paper there. Put it in the basket. Okay. So again, hopefully you learned something new. Hope you guys have a good day. All right. So take care and be safe.